at Lookuptv on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and our YouTube channel as well. Let's begin. Opposition coalition Azimio has threatened a return to mass protest and standoff over the approval of the Finance Bill 2023. The faction has called for a People's Baraza at Kamkunji, where the next course of action will be communicated. The opposition outfit has further castigated President William Ruto and his entourage for passing the Finance Bill despite strong objection from a section of Kenyans. Henry Tende now reports.
If we increase this, Madam Speaker, we shall paralyze our stomachs in Western Province. Madam Speaker, as I talk now, we have farmers in Rift Valley who use tractors to plow their farms. If we increase the fuel, they are watching us now on televisions. I want to give a warning to this House now.
It is important for also the House to know that the government has taken measures, several measures to mitigate the challenge of the increase of the 8%. The escalating dollar has been mitigated.
Differences that played out in Parliament during the debate and voting on controversial clauses of the Finance Bill marked the beginning of a heated political scene in the country.
The government's commitment is to turn the housing challenge into an economic opportunity to create quality jobs.
Opposition team Azimio now blames the government for passing the bill without factoring in proposed changes on contentious clauses of the bill. In this respect, the outfit has now called on its supporters to gather at Kamkunji grounds on Tuesday next week for the way forward.
We have decided to invite Kenyans to a consultation at the Kamkunji grounds next Tuesday, the 27th of June at 10 a.m., where the next course of action will be decided.
Convening of the meeting is a clear indication the opposition may be planning to go back to the streets to demand that the government listens to their woes as earlier threatened.
We have learned the hard way that this illegitimate regime can ignore the people, their feelings, their fears, their circumstances, their hopes and aspirations, and force its agenda on the people. That is what Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza followers did with the passage of the Finance Bill 2023. They ignored the wishes of the majority of Kenyans, and this signals the era of dictatorship.
The government has, however, remained firm that the Finance Bill will enable President Ruto deliver on his promises, a move further emphasized by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who praised the bill while throwing salvo at Raila's team.
You guys in Parliament has done us proud last night, and the other night you stayed up to late at night. Mkanyorosha hii watu ya Azimio, mkapitisha Finance Bill. Na tulikuwa tumewaambia hawa. We had told them.
Raila Odinga and his team have maintained a strong opposition to the controversial Finance Bill, which they say will strangle the nation economically.
The Ruto regime ensured that the wishes of the people were ignored. Instead, they retained punitive taxes on fuel, on housing, on turnover, on salaries, among others. This is like showing the people of Kenya the contempt card.
With opposition planning on their next course of action and the government already planning the running of the nation in line with the budget, it will be interesting to see how the two opposing sides going forward. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Kitanda, let's now head over to Parliament, where Siaya Deputy Governor William Oduol today got an opportunity to defend himself before the Senate Special Committee, which is investigating the decision by the Siaya County Assembly to oust him. Oduol denied allegations of abuse of office, violation of the Constitution, and exorbitant use of county funds for his comfort. He told the committee that conflict arose between him and Siaya Governor James Orengo after he blew the whistle on huge withdrawals of 107 million shillings within a record period of 3 months. Or Richard Rotich with our story.
Just like my council has guided, I would like to adopt.
On the second and final day, the Special Senate Committee investigating the removal of Deputy Governor William Oduol was ready to hear him present his evidence against allegations of the misuse of Siaya County funds.
My witness statement is marked DG2, and I had a bit of introduction on background.
Oduol told the committee that the relationship between him and Governor Orengo became salty when he discovered a string of large sums of money being withdrawn: 46 million shillings in the month of November 2022, 41 million shillings in December, and 20 million shillings in the month of January this year, forcing him to interview the CEC Finance Jack Odinga.
Noticed that that relationship we were drifting apart in December, and then in January our communication had somewhat completely reduced. Chair and committee, upon noticing these huge withdrawals from the impressed accounts, I summoned Mr. Jack Odinga to come and explain for me these withdrawals.
Additionally, Oduol says that he was not allowed to express himself in the Siaya Senate, saying that the manner in which he was removed from office was a violation of the law.
When they did not give me the opportunity to go and substantiate, I thought that that was a bit unfair, so I forwarded the details to EACC.
Oduol also explained that he was not aware that the seat he bought cost 1 million shillings, the committee tasking him to explain how the seat would have been purchased without his knowledge of the cost.
Did you have a role to play in the procurement process directly when it's taking place?
No.
You did not?
No.
The impeached deputy governor's fate now lies in the hands of the Senate as the 11-member committee chaired by William Kisang retreats to determine his case. Audrey Cherotich, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Audrey Cherotich, for that story. Moving on, President William Ruto has on many occasions maintained that his administration will not continue depending on international loans for its sustainability. However, opposition members of parliament today continue to disagree with the head of state, saying the country can borrow money from international lenders with a better payment plan, while challenging the president to ensure the funds are not misappropriated.
Despite the passing of the finance bill, the debate on whether the country should borrow more money or depend on taxes rages on.
However, we want to disagree with the chairman of the budget on the issue of borrowing.
Former National Assembly Speaker Farah Malim argues that the country cannot depend on taxes for development, as well-developed countries continue to survive on debts.
On the issue of borrowing, when we have a problem with debts, I don't think the situation should be that we should not take more debt. Japan, which is one of the most powerful economies in the country, has a public debt that is 63% of its own GDP. We have a public debt right now, total public debt, which is below 70% of our GDP. I think it's in the 60s, am I right? 62.5. The US has got an economy right now, a GDP of 24 trillion. The total US debt today is 36 trillion.
President William Ruto has on more than 5 occasions insisted that his administration will not continue to borrow money for development and that taxes remain the only avenue to fund projects.
Mzee Mwai Kibaki, wakati alichukua usukani, tulikuwa tunakusanya ushuru bilioni 200 kila mwaka. Huyo mzee na akili alikuwa naye, akatusaidia, akapanga, akasukuma. Wakati aliondoka baada ya miaka 10, tulikuwa tunakusanya from 200 billion, tulikuwa tunasanya 900 billion, almost 1 trillion. We must build the country using our own resources. We cannot continue to borrow money and take our country to risk.
Marakwet East legislator Kangogo Bawen says borrowing can be helpful if only the funds are used for the intended purpose without mismanagement.
Mr. Speaker, we support that we cannot continue borrowing. But at times, Mr. Speaker, if there is need for us to borrow, let's borrow and use the borrowed money to specific projects which are meant, to which the borrowing was meant, and to avoid cases where we borrow and that money gets lost without any tangible project.
The legislators also expressed their concerns over donor-funded projects, lamenting about the long period it takes to complete the projects as well as the preference of the donor on contractors to take up the projects.
Donor-funded projects does not move very fast. They do not move very fast because of the involvement of the donors themselves. Because when a donor is giving you resources to do a project, they want to participate in the procurement process. They want to ensure that the company implementing the projects are their own companies. They want to regulate, how resources flow, and this is affecting development projects. Honorable Speaker, in my constituency, there's a project which is funded by World Bank, and this project has dragged over the years beyond the period which the project was supposed to last.
And if you see, many of the stalled projects in water are donor-funded projects. These are projects which comes with a condition that the contractor must be from that country giving us the donors. For instance, we have a case of Italian cooperation projects, which has many of them, they have stalled because they are seeking to have Italian contractors.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Keitani, for that report. Now, just a day after Trade CS Moses Kuria appeared before the Senate regarding the edible oil saga and defended the importation of edible oil to save Kenyans from exploitation by local dealers. Our reporter Juliet Chepkoech set out to confirm if indeed the prices of edible oil had reduced after its importation.
With only 170,000 jerrycans which are branded, the price has dropped from 400 shillings to 218 shillings.
In our quest to get the facts right on the statement made by CS, we met Brian Mwanika, a vendor in the oil ATM business since 2020.
Tukianza after tulikuwa tunauza 135, hata price ndio hapo naweza iona 135 per liter. Between that time na sasa unaona kuna difference kubwa. Sasa tunauza liter to 20.
According to Brian, a liter of oil is currently retailing at 220 shillings, which earns him little to no profit as the purchasing power of customers continues to drop.
Imekuwa na change kubwa sana. Yeah. Sasa hata mtu unaona sasa wananunua 20, 50, unajua ni mashini na pima ile pesa uko nayo. So sasa at least venye uchumi sasa venye iko sasa, I think wengi wamepunguza ile kiwango walikuwa wanakuja kubai na kitambo.
A few kilometers away, we meet another oil trader who also informs us that the oil from the ATM is preferred by customers as they can buy from as low as 30 shillings.
Ya kupima ndio wanafriva sana. Jumbe yake ukikuja 30, 20, 50 half liter, 1 liter unapimiwa. Lakini ingine iko sealed. Hiyo bei yake iko juu kiasi. Lazima balance maisha ya mwananchi saa hii. Huwezi mwambia siuzi ya 30 ya 20 na nataka kupika, sasa inabidi uangalie maslahi yake.
Initially ilikuwa tunauza 205 1 liter. Yeah, but currently tunauza 20. Yeah.
Despite the statements from the CS, the price of cooking oil per liter ranges from 290 to 350 shillings at retail supermarkets such as Naivas and Quickmart. Juliet Chepkoech, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Juliet, for that sport check. Now, moving on, the government today conducted autopsies of 22 bodies that were exhumed from Shaka Hole Forest on phase 3 of the exercise. Of the bodies, 13 were female, 5 were male, and 4 other bodies whose gender could not be determined due to the level of decomposition. 49 bodies have so far undergone post-mortems, and 45 bodies are set to undergo the process. And beyond our borders, President William Ruto has said the new financial order will help the world overcome poverty and climate change. Speaking during a roundtable meeting at the new Global Financial Pact Summit in Paris, France, he explained that the resources should neither be controlled by the World Bank nor the International Monetary Fund.
Let us be deliberate about climate financing. Those are the two things I'm going to ask. Let's be deliberate about climate financing. Since we agreed in 2015 on emissions, that we reduce emissions by 45% by 2030 and net zero by 2050. Are we moving anywhere in that direction? No. What has happened? Since Paris 2015, developed countries, they have tried because they have resources. Europe has come down 20%. OECD countries have come down 12%. But what has happened with the rest of the world? Emissions have gone up 37%. Net, we've gone up, the whole globe, we've gone up 17%. And last year, we spent $950 billion on fossil fuels. We only spent $500 billion on renewable energy. It means the journey towards net zero is not going forward, it's going in reverse.
And we are taking a very fast break here on the program, but remember there's so much more on the other side, including the flagging off of the WRC. Don't go too far.
Kono ni chakula. Manike, halo. Aya, na inashika. They lay eggs. Alafu ni amoro.
Michezo na wachezaji. Matukio na matokeo uwanjani. Tumejifunga kibwebwe kukuletea mbwembwe. Si mazungumzo ya kusisimua. Ndiyo maana safu ya spoti ipo hapa kwa ajili yako. ZFC! Nami hapa nahodha Robert Chacha. Sisuisui na kuandalia kipindi bomba cha safu ya spoti. Kila siku ya Jumamosi kuanzia saa 7:30 ndani ya runinga nambari 1 ya michezo Lookuptv.
Nyakua milioni na Roto. Oh my friend. Leo tuko na washidi wa shopping voucher. Umecheza Roto for how long?
For about the past year, kutoka last year.
Pesa gapi uliwekelea mwisho ndio upate hii shopping voucher?
Ya mwisho niliwekelea ilikuwa 50 bob.
Utaambia nini wa Kenya Emmanueli?
Kwa wale ambao hawajacheza, hawajaanza, waanze. Hii kitu iko na kama sasa wakati uchumi mbaya, ona nimeangukia shopping.
Can you tell Kenyans hii kitu ni ya ukweli ama tunabebana ufara?
Hakuna kubebana hapo ufala. Hii kitu ni ya ukweli kabisa. Kama hujaanza kucheza, cheza, anza saa hii.
Gaming can be addictive. Play responsibly. This message has been approved by the BCLB.
Welcome back. This is Lookup News. Nancy Nalima here and Angel Lois on the sign language interpretation. And as well, you can send in your feedback. I'll be sampling some of that at the tail end of this bulletin at Lookup TV on Twitter, Lookup TV on Facebook, and Lookup TV on our YouTube channel. Let's continue. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has today flagged off the 70th edition of the World Rally Championship at Uhuru Park in Nairobi. The event, slated for June 22nd to the 25th, has attracted 34 drivers, including defending champion Carl Rovanpera and Kenya's own Carl Tinder, with the main action set for Friday and Saturday.
In a thrilling display of speed, skill and sheer adrenaline, the highly anticipated 70th edition of the World Rally Championship has officially roared to life, with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs and Sports, Ababu Namwamba, flagging off the event. Gachagua has said that the Kenyan government values the rally championships and will continue to support the event. On his part, Namwamba has said it's an honor for Kenya to have an opportunity to host such a prestigious event which will positively impact the Kenyan economy, sentiments shared by Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja.
We welcome the drivers and crew from over 20 nations, led by the current world championship champion, young Kalle Rovanpera of Finland, whose father, Harry Rovanpera, also competed in our prestigious rally. We extend our appreciation to the partners, most significantly KCB Kenya, Safaricom, Kenya Airways, Toyota Kenya, for coming on board to supplement our funding.
Our rally is a part of the very proud Kenyan heritage. We've been doing this for 70 years. While this year, the World Rally Championship celebrates 20 years, the Safari Rally celebrates 70 years. So the Safari is actually 20 years older than the WRC.
The 70th edition of the Safari Rally. The first edition of the Safari Rally was when the Queen Elizabeth was coronated in 1953. And I think it's a coincidence that the 70th is when we have a new king in England. What a coincidence. For people of Nairobi, the Safari Rally holds a very special part.
Naivasha sub-county is now set to witness the blistering speeds and heart-stopping maneuvers of these rally drivers as the countdown to the grand finale on 2nd July begins. Kenya will be represented by several drivers including Carl Tundo and Tinashe Getimu, who happens to be the youngest driver in the race. Despite the enthusiasm and anticipation, Naivasha has so far seen low business. David Alex, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Alex. Now, the increase of value-added tax on fuel and petroleum products from 8% to 16% has come under a lot of fire, with the opposition Azimio coalition criticizing the move, saying cost of living would be adversely affected. Today, we went out on the streets to find out what Kenyans feel about their MPs, if they are well represented.
With 184 members of parliament voting in support of the increase of value-added tax on fuel and petroleum products, these are some of the opinions residents of Nairobi have on the amendment.
Wana wamepandisha hiyo mafuta, mimi siwezi wa support hata kidogo. Juu sasa hivi Mkenya wa chini mahali anapitia maisha ngumu. Sasa ingekuwa uwezo wangu, mimi hao wabunge tungewapiga marufuku, tuchague wabunge wengine wenye wataweza kutetea mwananchi wa kawaida. Sasa hivi maisha imekuwa ngumu. Hata ile pesa tulikuwa tunapata kama sisi wa Kenya wa chini, hata sasa hatupati. Maisha yanaendelea kuwa ngumu, hata mwananchi wa kawaida hawezi afford hiyo maisha. Mimi nawapinga kabisa na nawalaani kabisa. Sitaki kusikia mambo yao.
Hata wewe ukiangalia saa hivi maisha iko ishapanda tayari, si ndio? Na havijafikia ile kiwango. Ile 16% yenye wanasema, hakika maisha itakuwa ngumu. Hata kama unapata hiyo kidogo haitatosha. Kwa hivyo lazima waangalie hii maneno. Wajali yule mwananchi wa chini. Maana kuna yule wa chini kabisa hajiwezi. So wakiweka tu kwa sababu kuna kuweka, yule wa chini ndiye ataumia. Utapata hata mtoto kwenda shule itakuwa ni ngumu. Ni ukweli. Hata kumnunulia tu kiatu avae aende shule itakuwa ni ngumu. Kwa hivyo waangalie maslahi ya wananchi wa chini kabla hawajaongeza. Serikali iangalie vizuri hiyo maneno.
Kwa sekta ya matatu. So hao bunge vile walipitisha hiyo mswada ni ngumu, inatuumiza. Sababu mafuta iko juu, so vitu zote ziko juu na mishahara bado ni ile. So mpaka mwananchi afinyike. So na wakati waliingia pale walisema ya kwamba watatetea mboga na mtu wa bodaboda kama hao hapa hivi. So sisi ndio tunateseka zaidi bana. So hatujafurahia. Kwanza nauli na mtu analipa mshahara ile. Nauli itatoka wapi nini? Sasa inapita kanyage mguu. Haya ama Nairobi kishinda aenda nyumbani.
Tunawapatia tu muda waondoke. Juu serikali ya kunyanyasa raia. Hakuna venye utasema unasaidia mama mboga, ama unasaidia mtu wa bodaboda, ama unasaidia mtu wa matatu, at the same time unaongezea tena hizo madozi nyingi. Kama Ruto alikuja kutusaidia, asitukamue sana. Atukamue tu mdogo.
Watu wa chini hii kitu imetumiza. Na hata hapo jana nilisikia wakisema tena bado itapanda na 13 shillings So tutaumia. Yes. Wangepitisha hiyo maneno. Yes. Kulingana vile uchumi iko.
Ni vile wanataka. Tuendelee na maisha vile itakuwa.
Those are some of the opinions residents of Nairobi have, with most of them strongly opposing the new tax law, claiming that they have been betrayed by their representatives. Juliet Chepkoech, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Juliet. And indeed, we keep going to the streets just to get your opinion on key functions and, of course, issues that matter most in the country. So when you see us on the street, be ready to give us your feedback on the different issues. Moving on to the counties, Murang'a County Government has unveiled a 10.6 billion shillings budget for the 2023-2024 financial year. The County Budget and Appropriation Committee Chairperson Charles Machigi, while tabling the estimates, said the budget is anchored under 5 key strategic priorities, which are universal health care, provision of quality education and training, agricultural transformation, infrastructural development, and improvement of business environment.
In a bid to elevate development in Murang'a County, Governor Irungu Kang'ata has proposed 10.6 billion shillings, funds he notes will enable the county government to develop plans for the construction of dispensaries in different wards that are currently underway, as well as to improve infrastructure in major hospitals, including Murang'a, Maragua, Kangema, Muriranjas and others.
So betting and casino we have increased, and also advertisement is for the sheer reason that the big corporations that do advertisement, they are also benefiting in our smart city program. For the small businesses, we have not exempted them 100% from paying county fees. No, we have not done that. Let us be clear.
Elsewhere, Kakamega Member of Parliament Elsie Muhanda has initiated a plan to install security lights in all business centers in order to curb the rising insecurity in the region, especially at night. She has further promised to create a conducive environment for business to thrive.
Napenda kushukuru Mama County, Mama Elsie Muhanda kwa kutuletea hii security light. Imepunguza wizi, imetusaidia katika maneno ya insecurity. Ile kitu tunaomba tu utuongezee taa ingine majengo, uongeze taa ingine pale junction ya Foresto na uongeze taa ingine junction ya Lumakanda. As much as Lumakanda ward tutakuwa tumekuwa covered.
In Bungoma County, residents are said to benefit from the Kenya Livestock Commercialization Project KELCOP that is worth 95 billion Kenyan shillings. The project is set to focus on value chains that have the potential to provide productive employment and food security opportunities for women, youth and marginalized people.
Because of Corona, we are late by almost 2 years, but I believe we are going to catch up. Yeah. So we are having around 95 billion for the whole project. It is transforming rural livelihood by actually uplifting the categories I've told you, the poor, the ultra poor, people living with a disability.
Finally, in Siaya County, a section of donkey owners in Bondo sub-county held a peaceful demonstration to protest the push for reopening of slaughterhouses for the animals in some parts of the country.
Sasa tuko hapa kama wafugaji wa punda, tunategemea punda inatusaidia kwa njia nyingi, kama inatuletea pesa kupitia tukibeba maji, tunapata pesa kupitia punda. Kwa punda wetu wanatupatia pesa, pia tunafundisha watoto, tunalima na punda. Kama saizi tunavuna mavuno kutoka shambani, punda wanatubebea mizigo kutoka kwa mashamba yetu.
The owners have further added that this will greatly reduce the number of donkeys in the region. Innocent Ogaro, Lookuptv.
Time now to get sporty. Cricket players in East Africa are positive that the game will gain ground and more tournaments will be held across the bloc. The players spoke after the finals of the Continental Cup T20 held in Nairobi.
It's been a very good tournament. I thought the games were very good. They were very competitive. You know, right from the outset, I think the teams came out here to compete. They came out to try and win. And, every game was unique and tough in its own way. So, to come out and win almost all the games and win the tournament is very special for us. We have to help each other grow. You know, I think when we play tournaments like this more often, you know, when we play competitive cricket against each other, we all grow as a region, and it can only be good for cricket in East Africa. And you know, Kenya hosting a tournament like this, I think that's a good start. Maybe in a couple of months, Uganda can host one, and maybe even Rwanda or Tanzania. You know, that's how the region grows. And you know, when there's interest in cricket in the region, then it's good for everyone involved.
I think it's a tournament where we did well. Playing 10 games in 14 days is not easy, and I thought the boys give their 100%, and we will always give our 100%. So I think the Kenyans should always try and support us. I think we will get there. It's just a matter of us going to on the table and getting our things right.
And the athletic championships began today at the Nyayo National Stadium. The fastest man in Africa, Ferdinand Omanyala, dominated the 100 meters sprint, while Beatrice Chepkoech and Janet Chepngetich clinched the victory in 3,000 meters and 500 meters, respectively. And that is all we had for you this evening. We appreciate you so much for taking time and being part of this broadcast. Pablo Moja says he is watching from Ruiru. Thank you so much. And Shiro Hungu says she's watching from Ate River. Remember, Lookuptv comes to you across all of 47 counties, and as well you can catch all our live broadcasts across our social media platforms. Lookuptv on Twitter, Lookuptv on Facebook, and Lookuptv on our YouTube channel. I am Nancy Nalima, and our sign language interpreter for tonight has been Angel Lois. Good night.